Let's begin then by trying to answer the question, what is Microsoft Active Directory Domain Services? When thinking about Microsoft Active Directory Domain Services, think about centralized authentication and authorization. You have sets of users, computers, applications and services that you want to secure, that you want to audit, and you want to manage. This is much easier if you can do this from a central directory rather than from a distributed set of databases and directory services. Microsoft's Active Directory Domain Services can scale from a single domain, a multiple domain tree, or a multiple tree forest design, and we'll be taking a look at these designs in a few minutes. At the heart of any Microsoft Active Directory domain are domain controllers. Domain controllers are servers that will hold, amongst other things, the Active Directory domain database. They will secure this, they will share this amongst themselves, and it's the Active Directory domain database that centrally authorizes and authenticates your users and computers. There are three typical designs when working with Microsoft Active Directory domain services. The simplest and easiest design is a single domain design, represented here by this triangle. In this single domain design, we will find at least one domain controller that holds a database called ntds.dit. Now, this single domain controller can manage access and authorization to your domain. But imagine a situation where this domain controller was lost for any reason. If this domain controller had to be brought down for patching, or there was a fault on this domain controller. If any of those things happened, we'd lose access to our Active Directory domain. So even the smallest of Active Directory domains should contain at least two domain controllers. Active Directory Domain Services follows a multi-master model. So each of these domain controllers is equal to each other. Each holds a copy of the Active Directory database, and changes can be made to that database on either of these domain controllers. When a change is made, that change is then replicated to the other domain controllers in the domain. The second domain service design is a multi-domain tree. Here we can see a multi-domain tree represented by the tree root and two child domains connected together by trust relationships. We will be discussing trust relationships in a later module. This type of design is useful if we want administrative role separation and if we want to control the flow of replication traffic. Each domain in this tree holds its own domain database, but they also share information between the different domains in this tree. The final domain service design follows a multi-tree approach. So here on the right hand side we can see a forest with multiple trees connected by the tree roots. Of the three designs, a single domain design is the best approach. If for whatever reason we cannot design our domain services around a single domain, we can go to a multi-domain tree. But a multi-tree forest design should be avoided today. It is largely legacy, and if you come across forests that have been designed this way, you should consider consolidating these trees during your upgrade to Server 2019. There is a similar design that you will come across that's very similar to a multi-tree forest, and it's called a multi-forest design, and is often used when companies merge, or when we want a separate forest for our perimeter network, or for other use cases. It looks similar to this multi-tree forest, but unlike a multi-tree forest that should be avoided, multi-forest designs are used extensively, and we will get to those in a later module. So your existing Active Directory domain services may look like one of these. The Active Directory domain service that you will be designing for company.pri will be a single domain design. Active Directory domain services is full of terminology that you should be familiar with. Some key terms to take away are forest root domain. This is the first domain that you install in your brand new Active Directory forest and will contain specialist roles that only the forest root domain should control. Another term to be aware of is parent and child domains. So the parent domain is often the root and the child domains sit beneath there. Each Active Directory domain needs to be given a name. And in Active Directory domain services, we use a multi-level naming convention. In our course, because we're working for company.pri, our forest will be called company.pri. This will become our forest root domain name. If we were deploying child domains, they would adopt the name of their parent. So child1.company.pri might be the name of one of our child domains. Child2.company.pri may be a second domain name. To resolve all these domain names, DNS is required. Now, you do not have to use Microsoft's DNS service. You could use a third-party DNS service, but DNS must be there. DNS is required so that we can resolve not only the domain names, but also resolve services that each domain controller will advertise. Which design should you use? Well, a single domain tree should be used where possible, with multiple domain controllers to provide high availability, and so that we can have domain controllers local to our user and computer bases. You might use a multi-domain tree if you want specialist administration separation, or if you want to control the replication traffic. Domain controllers share a lot of information with each other. Domain controllers in the same domain almost need constant contact. Domain controllers in different domains less so. So particularly over a large organization, using multiple domain trees might reduce the replication burden across your WAN links. As we said earlier, avoid using multi-tree forests. They're considered a legacy design today. But do consider a multi-forest design. If you have sets of resources, for example, that need to sit in your perimeter network, you might have a perimeter forest. When companies merge, you will have multiple forests that you have to connect in order to facilitate migration. There's a myriad of different reasons why multi-forest designs might be in use. In order to deploy Active Directory domain services, we have a wealth of tools available to us. Starting off with the graphical tools. Server Manager's been around for a while now. We can use Server Manager to centrally manage a group of servers, promoting them to be domain controllers, and then for ongoing management of those domain controllers. We also have a new tool today, Windows Admin Center. Windows Admin Center runs in a browser and has been designed for remote deployments and management. We will be using both these tools across our modules. We also have PowerShell. PowerShell is perfect if you want to automate deployments, either locally or remotely. In general, scripting and automation is considered good practice today. We will be showing you how to use PowerShell to perform various installation and administrative tasks of Active Directory domain services.